Hi, everybody. Jeff here. One of the AI topics, so artificial intelligence, and one of the things I wanted to bring up is something I'm looking for these different areas that generative AI could be helpful for, and one of the things that would be really interesting is something called pseudo-translation. What is that? Pseudo-translation. Uh, About 10 years ago, actually a little bit more than 10 years, about 2008 or 2009, it was actually about 2008, there was a company, Motion Point, was doing this, and then Transperfect, translation.com, uh, got doing it too with a project, and then they had a patent war over this thing, right? It was about what they would do is they would web scrape a internet site of a company, a potential client or prospect, and then what they do is they would pseudo translate. Actually, I got to think Catalyst, Alchemy Catalyst was actually doing this before, right? If I can remember correctly, but not at a website level. Do like strings, individual, strings of code, well, website material and stuff. But one of the things pseudo translation would do is they would do websites, but you could actually do it for the other things too. And usually, what we would do before using translation to use Latin, okay, use Latin text to just kind of insert a lot of just phrases in Latin, right, to get an idea of the amount of space that the text in another language would take for usually in English text. I mean, if you're going to English out to another languages. Then what happened here in 2009-ish was that they would web scrape the site, take it, and then they would just take machine translation, automatic translation text from that text and throw it in that and bring it back in and put it into the same website, but a clone of it, a copy. And then you could see this is called pseudo translation because you're pseudo translating it. Just you're filling it up with automatically translated text. That doesn't matter if it's correct or not, but you're getting an idea of how much space it's going to take, right? And you can see where there was some of the frames or things are going to be too small from the original, and you need to kind of expand them or take them into consideration for the translation. Like for French, I think what is this 22% more space is taken by French than is English. So this would help kind of figure this out. It's called pseudo translation. And now one of the things for AI would be is, can we do the same thing with automatically generated AI text, right? Artificial intelligence like ChatGPT in a language, right? Can we take this and just generate a bunch of text, fill it up, and see how much? Something to think about that. Okay, so can we use it for pseudo translation? Yes and no. Um, it can fill up the space, right? But the thing is, you're not going to know how much space it's going to take up compared to what the original is. If you're looking at a translation, if you're trying to do pseudo translation, there you're going to fill it up, but you're not going to. Well, it was going to be like Latin. The problem with Latin was the same kind of problem. But the nice thing about using for a certain text and using pseudo translation, using automatic translation systems or machine translation systems, that you would generate the same text, just in another language. It wasn't perfect, right? But it was the same sentences or the same content. Now, if you do this with generative AI, which kind of you can fill it up with whatever and use whatever kind of prompts, but then it kind of depends on what you want to do with this, right? I don't think it would work in that specific one, but I think you could do it with other ones, right? So it'd be great to see, like, I'd like to create 4 paragraphs on this, right? And bam, 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 bam. And then you can see how much space it's going to take to do this 4 paragraphs. I think that kind of approach would work. There's some things about that, but that's that's an idea. So I think that it had to be thought through. What would be the specific need and how to be doing this? And I think it just kind of depends. I think in some use cases it could work and some wouldn't work as well. I don't say it's not going to work at all, but it just kind of depends on what you want to do with it. So that's one idea for this pseudo translation kind of topic for generative AI.